what's up, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of the Cosmic Barbecue with me, Matt in the Real World, Mikey J. Shields, and Jim Cratchley of Dinosaur Palop.
What's up?
How you going, dudes?
All good,
What's
man.
up?
All good.
All good, yeah.
Actually, in high spirits,
Mikey,
feeling pretty good. Did a bit of exercise this morning. You know?
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Nice, dude.
Up and at 'em.
Up and at 'em. Let's get it. Mikey, you've got some questions or something, right?
Yeah. So I figured, might as well just get back into the mailbag, answer some of these questions that people have sent in.
Into the mailbag, man. I
Yeah,
like that.
fan mail.
That sounds
old
pro.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've put my address out there. Took a few days. Got some letters. It's not
Big old sack of mail.
Yeah.
Let's get into the mailbag.
I like this one. This is from Greg, spelled Greig. Is it Grieg? Greg.
Grieg?
Grieg.
Grieg. What
Um,
does Grieg have to... What's Grieg asking?
If it had all gone down the pan, what regular job would you be doing instead of touring celebrity mansions? Well, we're not touring celebrity mansions currently.
We'd definitely still be stuck at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Podcast hosts?
Yeah.
So, like, what alternative career would we be doing?
Yeah.
Dude, I literally have no idea now. I'm so far down the rabbit hole. Once you're this far down the hole, bro, there's no getting out.
There's no going back. In for
There
a
is
penny.
no going back. I have closed all doors to doing anything else. I don't know. Like, I used to, when I was at school and stuff, I was really good at like drawing, like design and anything that was related to drawing. So I used to think a lot of like my teachers and stuff thought I was going to be like a designer or architect or something because I could draw really well and like, do that vibe really well. And then I discovered punk rock and I was like, fuck that. I'm doing this. I am doing this.
So maybe an illustrator.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it's so hard to imagine doing anything else now. But yeah, I guess it would have been something like that, like product design or illustration or something. But I mean,
that.
Yeah.
Also, like your storyboards and stuff for the video, and you've always been so involved in the making of all of our videos. I can see you working in some sort of production.
I mean, storyboarding and stuff like that for film and stuff. That would have actually been that's a really good one. That would have been rad.
Yeah.
I had this book when I was a kid. You remember when like the Phantom Menace came out? Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Even though, not to get into Star Wars chat, but even though those 3 prequels kind of sucked, I got like the art direction for Christmas or something like that. My mum got me the book of like the head designer that kind of imagined and drew all the vehicles and the droids and like
concept
basically
stuff. Concept art or whatever.
Concept design. Yeah, concept design. That's it. And it was a book of all the concept design for the Phantom Menace, but it was mainly led by the head dude that drew a lot of it.
Yeah.
But dude, I was fascinated by that book, like so fascinated by it, and like fascinated by just like the design of it. Like I'm a huge fucking Star Wars fan anyway, and a huge sci-fi fan anyway. So that type of drawing and illustration and imagination kind of fascinates me anyway. But for something particularly about that book and the way that dude drew and stuff, I was literally obsessed. I must have read that book 100 times. So I could definitely see myself like doing something like that, like something that's like where you get to imagine and be super creative. And
that's so weird, man. I had the exact same book, but for Lord of the Rings.
No way.
And I read that religiously, and I used to draw. Used to basically just try and copy some of the concept art pieces in that book. Like spent hours on it because I quite like the gothic nature, and I liked the. I really like drawing Gandalf's robes, like when he's holding out the scepter, or whatever it is. What is it? Staff. His
Well, his
staff.
staff thing, yeah.
Well, like his flowing robes or
Yeah,
whatever.
I was just obsessed with that, so I used to draw
Nice.
that religiously as well. That's fucking weird.
I remember seeing a making
Yeah.
of Lord of the Rings. All like the miniatures stuff is so fascinating.
Yeah,
I
dude,
suppose it
Helm's
would have been
Deep.
all
Mental.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I saw recently something about Christopher Nolan when he was doing The Dark Knight, and there's this
Yeah.
like amazing scene down in the subway where there's like loads of cars, like, and then they're all crashing and it's all going off like insane.
Yeah.
And then Batman crashes into a truck, and it's just so like when you're watching it, it's like, yeah, that must have cost a fortune. And I
Yeah.
saw a thing, and that was all done in miniatures. It
No
was
way.
all done with like remote control stuff. Yeah,
Oh shit.
What?
No
Yeah.
way.
yeah,
That's wild.
it looks so cool.
They must
Yeah.
have tiny cameras, right, to make it look big when you're working
Don't
with
really-
miniatures?
I
I
don't
don't know
really
how it
know. I mean-
works.
The cameras still look pretty massive.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, like, when you're saying, I don't know anything about this, like, when you're saying miniatures,
Mm.
are you literally talking about, like scenes would be created by, like, tiny little models of...
Yeah, so
Of what
so
you're
they'd
watching.
sort of build
What?
they build like the subway street down like 100 times smaller.
But it's still
And they-
like knee height.
What?
It's still quite big.
Yeah, it's not like, how you'd imagine maybe like stop frame would be in plasticine or something. It's still bigger than that. But
It's like a model city type of
yeah.
vibe.
and they're like, yeah, it's
Plasticine?
wild. Well, I don't know. No, I mean it's not like
Plasticine.
plasticine. Oh yeah, so
Plasticine.
plasticine,
Plastic.
plastic.
Plastic. Plastic.
We've got this running joke. We've got this running joke about how Matt says plastic.
Matt, go.
Yeah, sometimes my brain sort of... It's like kind of on a base by base, like on a what's it called? Think something by something basis. My brain
Need
will
to know.
choose on the moment how. Yeah, you're on a need to know basis. My brain will sort of choose how to say it. One minute it could be plastic, the others it's plastic. I don't know. Fuck it.
I do the same thing with bath, man, all the time. Bath.
Bath. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the deal?
Who
But it
cares?
is bath.
Flopping. Is it?
But then
Bath.
northern people are always like, it doesn't have an
Bath.
R in it. It's not bath. And that makes sense to me.
Barth. Yeah, but no one. It doesn't have an R in it. Yeah, because that would be Barth.
Bath.
That's like Norfolk
pirate.
type vibe.
Pirate.
Barth.
Barth.
Kind of, yeah. Oi. That was interesting. That was interesting chat about that, all the miniature stuff and the concept design and stuff.
Dude, if you ever watch the making of Lord of the Rings, it's fucking mental. Like
It
how
is
they've
good,
got
isn't
this
it?
massive sort of scale model of Helm's Deep, and they,
That's so crazy.
yeah, it's amazing. Jim, what did you want to be?
Weirdly, it was all sort of film based as well. When I was doing art and photography at school, and I couldn't decide whether I wanted to go study photography or go into film studies.
Right.
And I applied for a film studies course and didn't get it. And I did get accepted for the photography one I went for, which was at a
What,
really
at
good
uni?
school. Yeah, I went on to do photography at uni. So I did 4 years of photography, and I just either wanted to be a filmmaker or a photographer, but the door was shut in my face. So
I remember doing media at A level. It fucking sucked. I hated it.
yeah, but I didn't really do any of that. I don't know why I applied for film school. I'd never done anything like it. I'd never done moving image. I just fancied it. So
Is it because you look like Spielberg? Is that why?
What is that? Why I got
totally
turned
it.
down?
Right. No, that's why you decided to just go for it. You got no experience. You're like, well, I look like him. It can't be that hard.
Yeah.
I look like Spielberg, so I'm just gonna do it.
And I really like Jaws.
Yeah, exactly. Someone
You
said I look
don't-
like
you do.
Michael
You
Moore
love
once,
Jaws.
which fucking hurt.
Michael Moore, that is rude. It's fucking rude.
You do not look like Michael Moore, bro. No way.
no, I'm happy. with
No
that.
way.
Thanks, boys. You've got me.
I remember when. So I think like after school, I think I like subconsciously, not that I mean, obviously everyone wants I think it's a common thing to want to make your parents, or in my case, my mum, proud or whatever. So subconsciously, when I left school, I began this journey of university, like higher education, that maybe I didn't ever really want to do. But anyway, I applied straight out of school. I applied for an art foundation course.
That's quite interesting, actually. I've only just thought about this because your mum is obviously an artist.
Yeah.
I never really linked that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's weird because Mum, she's kind of musical. Obviously, I don't think my dad was too musical. Although apparently, Mum says that Dad could hear a tune and sing it or play it back to you on whatever. And I guess I can kind of do that. So maybe that's something from him. But Mum was like really good at piano, or still is really good at piano, and like obviously paints and does all that.
Yeah.
So I guess that's from my mum side that I've maybe got all that. I don't know. So I started straight out of school. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this art foundation course and like start that journey into sort of higher education in sort of graphics and art and stuff like that. And yeah, and I remember applied for that art foundation course in Leeds, got in, and then a week before it started, I was like, I'm kidding myself here. Like, I just want to be in a fucking band. I don't want to do any of it. Why am I starting a course? I don't want to do this. So I literally, I mean, so dumb in a way, but I literally just rang them up, and they picked up, and I was like, hey, yeah, I'm starting the Art Foundation course in a week. And they were like, cool. And I was like, yeah, I'm actually going to quit. I don't want to, not doing the course.
You hadn't even started it.
You hadn't even started. Amazing.
I was a week away, and they were like, are you sure? And I was like, yep, 100%. Definitely don't want to do it. So you can just take my name off that list, which they did. And then I took.
Did you have your loan by this point?
I can't remember.
So you're
I've got the money.
I've
got the money.
I mean, dude. I mean that the whole student loan thing. Anyway, so I told my mum. She was like, "What? Fucking lost it." Like, understandably, because it's bananas. And then I ended up moving to Leeds anyway, and just kind of trying to join bands. But like, considering I didn't really know anyone, didn't know what I was doing, I just literally started to like try and pick up ads for people looking for bands.
Just hitting up bars like, can I be in your band? I'm not even in a band, bro.
Yeah, damn, what? I can't remember. I like joined a bunch of like really bad bands, and obviously they didn't go anywhere or do anything. And then like later I was like, shit, I probably shouldn't have dropped out of that course. Like, what am I doing? It's like working in this fucking shitty restaurant down in on the Hedgerow of Leeds, like, which is like the main street. I was treated so badly by the people at our restaurant. I was like, okay, I might have made a huge error here. So like, I got my A-level kind of art and design folder from home. I took that to the Leeds Art and Design College, and I was like, can I get on the visual communications course with this? And they like looked through it, and they were like, yeah, you can actually. This is good. So I started that the next year. And then a year into that, I was like, that course is so hectic. I was like, I've just got no time to write any songs. Like, I just want to be writing songs, and this course is pretty full on, so I can't write any music. So I left that course because I'd heard that the fine art course at the Leeds Met was really easy and you didn't really have to do much. So I again took that same A-level art folder down to the Met. I was like, can I get in on the fine art course with this? They were like, yeah, you can actually. Wicked. So I started that. And then a year into that, by that time I'd started touring we'd started touring as Mother Vulpine loads. We were getting kind of busy, and we'd just toured with the Eagles of Death Metal. That was like our sort of coolest, biggest tour, and it was rad.
Yeah, that is a wicked.
And we toured with the Eagles. It was great, and we toured with Eagles of Death Metal. And then when I came back to the uni, they were like, "Yeah, dude, you're never ever here. Like, no one even knows who you are because you're always away on tour. So you've either got to leave or we're going to kick you out, and that'll look really bad." So I was like, okay, cool, I'll leave. So technically, I started 3 courses, took all of those loans, I guess, and didn't get one single degree.
It's 3
When I
lots
look
of
back at
student
that,
debt.
I was like, why did I start all that? Why did I do all that? I guess it was.
Yeah,
'cause
I'm
I
kind
was
of
like,
thinking that maybe student loans company don't have your address. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You're going to get one of those letters through someday soon. Holy
It's number
shit.
84.
Yeah. That's so
No,
bad
it's
as
quite
happened.
interesting
Anyway,
though,
yeah.
because there is that battle when you're younger and you're really into music and you're sort of considering whether to start a band or whether to sort of do the sensible thing or have a fallback plan. You just literally took the route of like, fuck all this, I'm doing the band, nothing else matters.
Yeah, I did, but like you're right, dude. It's a real big decision, and like, I guess I kept on starting all those courses because, you know, trying to do the music thing and trying to do the band thing is so uncertain.
Yeah, dude.
Like, sort of, you know, it's such a huge gamble. I guess I was always, in one way, trying to like create a good career, make my mum proud, and sort of hang on to some sort of sense of like security or whatever it was. But it would never, like, it just, for me anyway, like my sort of, it never kept like worked out for me because my ambition would always override what I was doing.
Dude, it was uncertain then, right? And that was when CDs were still going. I'm pretty sure Napster wasn't even around when we were
Yeah.
sort of just starting.
Yeah.
So anybody trying to start a band now, when you've got to sort of live off 0.004p per play royalty from Spotify, it's fucked.
Yeah, it's wild. But I mean, there's so, you know, it's such a different landscape now because of like social media and stuff. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like a lot of social media, like influencers, they get a following, then they become musicians because they have a following. But people doing it the other way, trying to be a musician and then gain recognition that way, that like happens a lot more rarely, I guess.
Yeah, you don't really
Maybe
get labeled
that's right.
developing artists anymore. It's got to be instant success or nothing.
Exactly, like it's pretty crazy.
We're so lucky. We're so lucky to have had So and Parlophone.
Dude, I know. I mean, like, so, yeah, completely. I mean, obviously, it was a long journey to get to Parlophone, and it was a enormously long journey with So, and even with So Records, and even a long journey to get to So Records. I mean, the fact that like we were talking about last time, like on the previous episode, like starting the band, like how like we ended up meeting So Records. It's just like we didn't know what the fuck we were doing, and we were just ping-ponging about, somehow ended up in the office of So Records and met Adam Greenup, and were like, you're amazing, and got on like a house on fire. Like, if that hadn't happened, who knows where we'd be.
And I'd like to say,
Like,
when we met Adam, we were in the office with Adam and Reynold and our manager at the time, and Reynold thought I was the lead singer of the band. So
he did.
just like to get that in
It's
there.
because we were sat in So Records, an amazing independent record label based in Camden in London, incredible, and changed our lives forever, because without their support and belief in the band and stuff, we would have never ever
We wouldn't be
done
where
the
we are
things
now,
we've
basically, yeah.
no way. Like, and through them we were able to tour internationally. We were able to kind of survive and like claw through and not quit. And then eventually, obviously, that led us to everything that's like hooking up with our US management, who's part of the Dinosaur team now, and then eventually signing with Parlophone. It's all because of that opportunity that So Records gave to us, I guess. But
And the absolute dynamo
Mikey,
that is Adam Greenup.
and the dynamo that is Adam Greenup, yeah. But and you know, and Reynold, like Ren's he's a, you know, he's kind of the key, I guess, as well. But yeah, we were in So's office, and Mikey still had his ape shit long hair, which I personally fucking love. But I guess I can't remember how long my hair was, but Mikey was like, I don't know. I guess you just looked like the front guy.
I just really nonchalant.
Yeah,
Really
like you're just
uninterested.
not giving a fuck. Yeah.
What about you then, Mike?
I don't know, man. I did pretty well at school, so I was looking at sort of going to a good university, and I was quite interested in law and stuff at the time. So, don't know. It could have been a suit.
Could have
Could have
been.
been a fucking suit.
Shit.
But I've also been quite interested in starting my own sort of food business, and maybe a chef. I don't know.
I was going to say, I can see you doing something with food.
I am into food.
You do like food.
I do like to find the good food places on tour. If it wasn't for me, we would never have gone to Anchor Bar in Buffalo.
That's true.
Dude.
Right?
I
So
think
many
we've got you to
places
thank
we would have
for,
never
like,
found.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
For everything. I'll take that, Jim.
So
I'll take that.
I mean, that's
Thank
that's,
you,
that's
Mike.
a bit of a,
Thanks for everything.
that's a bit of an overreach. That's a bit of an overreach. Jim.
Whoa,
Mikey, when
he
we're on
said it
tour,
now. It's committed to podcast. So,
It's out.
yeah.
It's out
Go on.
there. Public
When we're
public
on-
domain.
when we're on tour, Mikey will, as we're pulling into a place, Mikey will often jump on Google Maps and just like research. Well, it's usually dive bars,
Yeah.
and
Shuffleboard.
you'll just like, you'll jump into to Google Maps, find loads of dive bars, places with shuffleboard, which is this American kind of bar game that we're obsessed with. And then as soon as we've like parked up the van and whatever, dumped our stuff, we usually go and find one of these places. My favorite one of those places.
I know. I knew you were going to go here. I love this. Go on.
I think
mean,
I know what you're
going.
going to say as well.
Ernestine's and Hazel's.
Ernestine and
there it
Hazel's.
is.
Oh
Memphis?
man. Yeah.
Memphis, yeah.
Dude. Like, it's in Memphis, right?
Yeah.
That is maybe the coolest place I've ever been, like in terms of like a dive bar. Is it
So
still
much
there?
history.
Is that,
Yeah, no, it's still there.
Is it?
Yeah. I was
I heard-
I was doing that questionnaire for the Slow Thrust cookbook,
Southwestern,
And
yeah.
and I was gonna do Memphis. I was gonna do Central Barbecue as my favorite road food.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I just remember that so vividly, and that whole evening was so killer.
Yeah.
Getting
Um,
taken up to the upstairs where your man
Ray Charles.
Where is it? Ray Charles, yeah, was
Yeah.
banging all of his prostitutes and taking
Yeah.
heroin
Yeah,
Taking heroin, yeah.
just above the dive bar.
Yeah. And like, yeah. So I remember pulling up, I remember walking up to that place and you being like, this is the place. And we were across the road and we were looking at this joint. And I was like, are you sure that's the place? And you were like, yeah, this is the place. And the windows were boarded up. And like, it just looked like
The most uninviting
it looked
place,
like,
man.
yeah, it looked like somewhere you either couldn't get in, or if you did get in, you'd be seriously injured or dead within a couple of minutes. And I was like, dude, I don't know about this, man. Like, it looks particularly gnarly. And you were like, no, well, okay, we can just like, we'll just look in, and if it's really gnarly, we can just walk out again. I was like, all right, fair enough. So we walked in. Was there people in there? I think there was like a bunch of people in there.
Yeah, I think there's a
We
few
walked
people
in.
playing pool at the back.
Yeah, so at the back of the room, there's a pool table. You can smoke in there, so it's like filled with smoke.
It's
Couple of,
thick
like-
with smoke, isn't it? Like,
Thick, yeah. And people just hanging at the back playing pool on this free table. The table was free. And down the side of the bar is this grill where they're making these soul burgers. They make one thing and only, like, they make a burger and only one burger, which is called the soul burger. That apparently Tina Turner used to come in. What was the lady saying? She was like, Tina Turner used to come in for the soul burger or something.
that's a good
Something
memory, man.
crazy.
Soul Burger.
yeah, I can't remember that. I do remember that the woman behind the bar was called Karen, though.
Karen was ace.
Yeah,
Dude, she was ace. And she, like, obviously, I guess, could see that we were, like, not from there. So she was like, how you doing? Do you want a tour? And we were like, what do you mean? She was like, well, this place is, like, really full of history. And we're like, okay. And yeah, like Mike said, like, Ray Charles used to stay in one of the upstairs rooms. He used to do heroin out of there, like, loads of gnarly shit, and, like, prostitutes and all this history. He used to write a lot of music there. And there's loads of, like, crazy ghost stories. The previous owner, I think, had killed himself in that upstairs
shit.
room as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Was
yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
And then and Karen was like, there's like legit ghost stories about him still being in the building, and I can't remember one of the ghost stories really got me, but I can't remember it now. Damn it. Anyway.
It's about stuff moving, like classic stuff. Yeah, that place was wicked. That reminds me of when we first went to Powerhouse in LA as well. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah,
in
Hollywood.
Yeah, just off
in
Hollywood.
Yeah, just off the Strip. Yeah, that's so. Powerhouse is where the Beatles used to. Wasn't that like where the dude was saying that the Beatles used to chill there
when they did the Hollywood Bowl, right? They used to go there, like they do a few nights at the Hollywood Bowl, and they go there every night afterwards.
And it was this super rundown, again, like all boarded up. And we got to it, and it didn't look like anything was there apart from this one sort of small neon sign above the door, and it looked like it was shut.
It didn't even look open, did it?
No, yeah.
And
we were like, "Shall we go in?" And we went in. It was fucking amazing.
I remember the guys in there. There was a TV playing sports with like super unfriendly kind of dudes watching the TV and getting into their sports. But like I say unfriendly, they weren't unfriendly to us. Like no one gave us any trouble or anything. They were just like deep into their sports. And we ended up drinking like super cheap beer there.
Yeah, it was like $1 a beer or something. Fucking wicked.
I love finding those places, man.
You know, I went back.
Cocktail bar,
yeah, right? I went back a couple of months ago, like a year ago, and it's now just like an upmarket cocktail bar.
That's such a shame.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it's disappeared. Like it's still got the same neon out the front, like the vertical Powerhouse, which looks fucking amazing, but it's just not the same.
Because when we went, it had like all the original booths and stuff.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah, the green leather booths that were like torn up and shit. Yeah. You remember when we last time we played? I think it was the last time we played LA with Black Map, and we were playing at the Wiltern.
Yeah, with Chevelle.
With Chevelle, yes.
Yeah, with Chevelle, and we walked down the street before the show down to that little bar with Mangles and Chris and stuff for like a couple of beers in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And that was like a couple of blocks away. That was kind of cool, that place. I can't remember what it's called.
I can't remember what that's called, but yeah, I do remember that one. That was good.
We always seek out the good dive bars. Yeah. One of the best I always remember as well, which I wrote in the same questionnaire, Jim, was the Founding Fathers in Buffalo.
Oh, shit, in Buffalo. Yeah, that place is incredible. The barman that quizzes you.
And just like how we found that was because we were going to Canada, and Ollie, our tour manager, and Jay, who was along one of our best mates, was like our videographer and photographer for the tour. They took a Greyhound from one venue because they didn't want to come into Canada or couldn't or something for whatever reason, and went to meet us in Buffalo. They took a really sketchy Greyhound, and they waited for us at this random bar, which happened to be the Founding Fathers. We went in to meet them in this bar, and the guy who runs it, called Mike actually, is this absolute like genius, who is like the godfather of trivia. And he will ask you, he's like, give me a subject and I'll ask you some questions about it. And obviously Ollie and then you, Jim, absolutely loving marine life. He just reel off all these like really insane questions or like bits of information that just blow your mind while you're sat there eating free like chili nachos and free popcorn in this wicked little bar in the middle of Buffalo somewhere.
That place is awesome. Dude. Wasn't he? I think he's a retired history teacher, isn't he?
Yes, he was.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Good old Mike.
And he'd do that thing. He'd do that thing with the pint glass that still had beer in it, and he'd spin it over his.
Yeah.
He grabbed it and like spinned over his head, and no beer comes out because of the centrifugal force, or whatever. You remember that? Nice. We were in Miami.
Yeah.
And we went pre-show.
Pre-show. Fuck. I remember
this. Dude. Remember this? When we left the venue, and Ollie was like, "Whatever you do, be back here 20 minutes before stage time." And we were like, yeah, it's totally cool, bro.
and
like,
we only had like 40 minutes, right?
Yeah, something stupid. We were like, dude, we're not gonna fuck you like on this. Like, I promise you, it's all good. Like, don't stress. Because Ollie is like, he's basically in the band. We've been around the world with Ollie more times than I can even remember. He's our best mate. Like, he's just the best dude, and he's also an insanely professional an amazing tour manager.
We've turned him into an ultimate pro, to our detriment.
Like to a point where like people in the business when we're on tour and stuff, that like people we know or random people like regularly tell us they're like, he's one of the best tour managers I've ever seen. Like he's amazing. But when Ollie asks you something like, be back here 20 minutes before stage time, because he's like a pro now, you listen to him and you're like, okay, we'll be back. You just do what Ollie says basically when he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
And we went and found this amazing dive bar. Do you remember that place?
Yeah.
All mirrored out, like those really shitty mirrors and
like
neon. And,
bright daytime outside, completely like 12 o'clock at night inside.
I mean, yeah, dude, it could have been 4 a.m. for all I knew. Like you had no idea. And as soon as you go in, you like the environment of that bar, the vibe instantly makes you just want to party and lose it.
Yeah.
Which is dangerous. Which is dangerous 20 minutes or whatever it was before stage time. Like 8 p.m. at night. Anyway, so we go and find this wicked dive bar that ends up being like a couple of blocks away. You know, it's a while away. I think maybe we didn't totally keep an eye on that. And we're pre-show, like having a couple of drinks in this bar, loving the vibe, like just totally into that vibe. And then we realize that we're literally like a couple of blocks from what beach was it?
South
It's like
Beach,
South
right?
Beach, yeah, South Beach, Miami.
Right in the Art Deco
That's
area.
like a famous. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh, we've got to go and check it out. Like we've got time. And we were like, do we? We're like, yeah, whatever. So we went down, and then we stood on the beach, like a couple of beers in.
Yeah, I think we were a bit half cut by this point, to be fair.
A little, maybe a little bit, because that was a long tour. What tour was that?
That was Chevelle as well. I think that was the same one, the same run that we did the LA show. We just went everywhere.
We were just
we're
going to go see everything that's not the venue.
Yeah, so like the longer, I think maybe it would be fair to say, like the longer a tour is, the more fatigued you get, the more you're kind of like, I don't know, you just kind of get a bit like lapse with, for instance, getting back to the venue on time or whatever. And I remember so vividly being, after that bar, being stood on that beach, being like, wow, this is cool, man. And then someone looked at their phone for the clock and they were like, oh, cool. Yeah, it's like 8 o'clock. And someone else, or whatever time it was, and someone else was like, yeah, are we on stage at like 10 past 8? And then we were like, oh, shit.
We realised it was like a 15-minute walk. So we fucking legged it.
I've never seen 3 dudes running running for their lives, but like obviously people in Miami were just like looking at us like, have they just fucking robbed a bank or something?
Literally.
Like sprinting through Miami,
all dressed in
and I
black.
think, didn't we like run
heat.
into the venue, because that was like it was a long run. Like significant exercise.
Yeah, dude.
Didn't we literally just run straight on stage?
I think we got there. Ollie was fucking livid. Because somebody had like loads of missed calls from him and not seen it. We were there dripping with sweat. Ali was like dragging his sorry ass to front of house, our sound guy, and we literally like out of breath. You pretty much put the guitar on and walked straight on stage.
Yeah, I did. I remember doing that. Like, I think Ollie just literally put the strap over me. He was like, literally, get on. We just like walked straight out. So funny, man.
Good times.
That was
good times.
Yeah, that was good times.
Still never missed a show when we've been there.
Yeah.
When we've been there.
Oh, dude.
One more question, I think, for this one, which I think we'd all be in agreement for. It's one that we've been asked a bunch. Is what is your worst ever show?
Oh, I think I know which one we're all going to say.
I mean, dude, I've got 12 years of deep memories here. I could go into a few.
Actually, I've got a couple, yeah, but I think there's one that stands out is probably definitely Baton Rouge.
Yeah, knew it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. So Baton Rouge, didn't we have a total shit show getting to that show as well? Or was that after the Mechanipe Inn?
No.
Was Baton Rouge
Oh
the
yeah,
show?
It was.
It
Oh my
was
god,
because we
Mechanipe
did.
Inn is a whole other podcast.
That's
'cause
an episode in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did Mechanipe, and then we did the night after Mechanipe, which we can explain in future. We took a really nice hotel somewhere because we were so fucked, and then we drove to Baton Rouge. It was like 3 days straight on the road with like no stops.
Yeah.
All to get to this show.
Yeah, all to get to the show. Now, for some reason, I remember you and Ollie, Mike, had done a lot of research into what venomous spiders and bugs and stuff there were in Baton Rouge, which apparently the brown recluse was high on the list or something like that. That's lodged in there. That's lodged in there.
And do you know why? Because there was one in the fucking dressing room.
Yeah, there was. Yeah,
there was one. We were on tour with Middle Class Rut and Brick and Mortar, this amazing two-piece, and we broke our necks to get to this show, like after one of the worst nights we've ever had on tour, which again we'll go into in another episode.
Yeah, probably one of the worst nights ever that we ever experienced was the previous night.
Yeah, so it was a shit show anyway, and we get to Baton Rouge. I remember being particularly disappointed as well because all day I'd been talking about getting some jambalaya, and it turned out everywhere had shuttered too.
Oh, mate, my heart goes out to you,
Mike. On your face.
My heart goes out to you, buddy. You'll get through this, bro.
So we get there, load in. I remember it being a bit of a shit loading anyway. Sound check, and I think we're first on this tour, right?
I think we were flip-flopping, but this was one where we were first on.
Was it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I think Brick and Mortar had some territories where they're doing better than in others. It turns out nobody does well in Baton Rouge out of anybody who was on that touring package. To the point where we literally rocked up. Ollie, our tour manager's like, "You're on now." And we look out because obviously the backstage is just like up some stairs around the corner. You just, as you're coming down the stairs to go on stage, you can see the venue is literally empty. Like, you know, when people are like, "Oh, it's empty," and there's 10, 15 people. It was empty.
Yeah, like actually empty. Like
bar staff only.
Sans people. Yeah.
And this was during it was 6-week tour. One of the longest tours we'd ever done. We were fucking crestfallen anyway after what just happened, and the fact that it was this far into the tour, brutal.
Yeah, and there's something particularly weird about being like, "Cool dudes, stage time, let's go," and you're looking out literally into an empty room. There's something kind of like counterintuitive about that. You're like, well, who are we playing for? Like,
literally.
There's nobody there.
Yeah, do you just stand and play through, or do you?
Yeah, do you introduce
perform?
the song?
Yeah.
Do you say like hello to anyone?
Yeah, like there's no one there. So anyway, that was super weird. And I remember going on the stage and Brick and Mortar, John and Brandon walk out. And they stand directly in the middle of the room, and we played the whole show just to those two dudes, who were two of the nicest dudes on the whole of the planet. So it was a pleasure. But
do you remember afterwards
staring into the eyes of the other band on the tour? It's like, oh, dude. Do I remember afterwards?
Afterwards, when
I
were
know what you're talking about.
We were like, cool, let's get some food. Let's put all of our merch money together. And I think it worked out. I think because Brick and Mortar, by this point, the time they'd gone on, there was maybe 3 people in there. I think they'd made $7. So we put all of our $7 together.
Right. Yeah. We got a pizza, right, for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah. It's times like that when you're on the road in America and people are like, "Oh, you're so lucky to be touring America, man, living the dream." You're like, it can be so real.
Yeah. And like, obviously, we never take for granted the fact that we get to do that and the opportunities bestowed upon us. Like, obviously, we don't. But Mike's right. Like, it can be so fucking real. Like, 7 fully grown dudes all trying to just survive on one pizza that they could scramble the pennies together to afford, and be like, is this the dream? No, this wasn't the dream I had when I was 15 or whatever.
But I remember as well afterwards we were talking like, oh, that was so shit, but spare a thought for Middle Class Rut because it was their headline show. I remember Zach being so mad at his agent for booking it there.
Yeah, I think actually Zach, I remember we came off and I was like, fuck, that was rough. And Zach turned to me and he was like, it's not your show, dude. And I was like, oh, that sucks.
Brutal.
Like, I shouldn't have said that, because it was brutal for us, obviously, and it was brutal for Brick and Mortar, but it wasn't our show. It was Middle Class Rut's show. And like, we've had shows like that. Like, sure, Brick and Mortar have had shows like that too. Like, when it's your show and no one's there, it's like, it hits you even harder because it's like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? There's no one here. It's rough. And you feel bad for the support bands because they're trying to eat off the money from that show too. And if no one's there, they're not eating either. Like, it's rough.
Yeah, man.
It was a rough one.
We've all been there. You work your way up. You get to the Kentish Town Forum, you pretty much sell it out. Global pandemic. Stay at home.
God damn those global pandemics.
I mean, and this would have been our first summer where we're like, holy shit, this is pretty cool. Global pandemic. Boom. Not playing another show for God knows how long.
A couple of other worst shows off the top of my head. Oh, go on. Yeah, go on, Matt. You go.
Yeah, no, I keep on thinking of another worst show where we played to 2 people, and it was years and years and years and years and years ago in Coventry, and
I love this story.
It was at the Casbah in Coventry, and there was 2 people in the room. Two fans had bought 2 singular tickets to that show, that dinosaur headline show. And we walked on stage and they were, I mean, imagine a square room.
Casbah's pretty big, right?
Yeah, I mean, 20 meters by 20 meters, whatever it is, square room, with 2 people stood next to each other right in the middle. Can you imagine how much space is around those 2 people? How much empty space? And they, bless them, we walked on stage. They walked right up to the barrier and leant on the barrier. And we played the whole set, the headline set, so like an hour or whatever, just to these 2, there's a guy and a girl. And yeah, they were just stood right on the barrier, loving it. And we played the whole set just for them. And then that was it.
Didn't they tap Tom on the shoe and ask him?
It was kind of cool to
just go on?
To do that, I guess. But at the same time, brutally heartbreaking.
You could say from their point of view, it was a intimate show. Some people pay more for that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you could have fit all those people in that room in a cardboard box, and they would have fit.
Brutal. I'm happy to say I wasn't at that show.
Yeah, it was. That memory always stayed with me because it wasn't the most like glamorous.
And that's quite early as well when you're being hyped up and you're like, cool, this thing might actually fly. And then you get to Coventry and you're like, whoa.
Whoa, dude. Yeah. Guys, where is everybody? What's going on? Oh, dude. Anyway, yeah, it's fun. It's fun thinking about this time.
Yeah, just a couple of other just quick ones. Was one of my worst shows was in Delhi when I had swallowed about 15 Imodium in an attempt to try not ship myself on stage. Because
oh my god, dude,
we'd been taken to that thali place where we ate from our hands, and Western stomachs, I don't think, are quite prepared for the bacteria that is prevalent in these establishments.
Yeah, so I didn't eat at that place because the whole eating with your hands thing, I was like, I'm not down with this. It just doesn't seem sensible right before we play a big old festival to however many thousand people. I was like, it just doesn't seem right. So I think I ate some bread and that was pretty much it.
Yeah,
I remember so specifically 2 things about that show. The sound check.
Oh my god! Yeah.
I remember the sound check, right? And I'm on stage and I look round to you, Mikey, and I come up to the kid and I'm like, bro, like, are you okay? And you were just completely silent. You wouldn't answer me because you were sat at your kit and you were like concentrating so hard not to just shit yourself on stage. And I was like, okay, like Mikey's in a pretty bad place here. So then we come off stage after sound check. Like, I guess we have an hour or whatever. And for some reason, right before stage time, it hits you again.
Yeah,
and we're in the little,
so hard.
In that tent just off the side of the stage that was our backstage. And dude, I know what that's like when you're ill and you're like, I need to not be here, I need to be alone in a hotel room doing my thing. But instead you're in a hot tent 10 meters away from a stage where you're about to play to whatever it was, 1,000 people, where you have to give everything. I was like, I can't imagine how bad you feel.
I'll tell you what, there is a unique pain, right, when your body is full of, I describe it as the devil and God raging inside me. Literally like a hateful burning sensation in my stomach where you know whatever's going to exit you is not solid. And I remember having swallowed those 15 Imodium, my body was working so hard against it, trying to keep this, what felt like poison in my stomach. And then the thought of having to go out on stage, and because it's not a jazz band, you know, I'm not like sat there lightly tapping away with some brushes, like exerting any kind of effort. I was petrified that I was about to absolutely shit myself.
Yeah, that was rough, man.
Somehow I managed to get through it.
India is a you've got to be so careful. Like, I mean, eating on the road anyway, I guess you've got to be kind of careful. But like in India, it's you've really got to have your wits about you.
Be careful of the dips, man.
It's the dips.
The
dips will get you.
The dips will get you.
The dips will get you. What was it? Did you have another one, Mike? Another story? Or no?
One of the other ones, I think, was Kendal Calling one year where we got 4 warm beers on our rider. And when we went to play, it was raining so hard, the whole tent was sinking into the mud.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
That was really early on in my tenure in Dinosaur Pilot.
Welcome to the band.
Yeah, kind of first festival season. Welcome, Jim.
Jim's last show with Tribes was Radio 1 stage, Enemy, pack tent, and then he comes and joins Dinosaur Pile Up, and we're playing in a sinking tent in a fucking mud pit in Kendal Calling with 4
sharing
warm beers.
4 beers between the 3 of us. Yeah,
right.
Love it. Still here though, aren't I? So
still here, man. Still kicking it.
No other offers on the table.
Mojo. Amazing. Yeah, dude.
Anyway.
Mate. I tell you, man. I tell you this. Tell you two dudes. The first time where we end up getting a tour, say a US tour, and being able to afford a bus, which we've never been able to have off our own back. We've done 2 or 3 tours on a bus, but only because we were sharing with the larger band who paid for the bus. But the first time that we get our own bus as Dinosaur Pile Up that's paid for by Dinosaur Pile Up, that is going to be a big moment for us.
Yeah, it's going to be huge.
We'll be like,
cannot wait.
That's going to be a huge moment for us, you know. 13 years in a fucking band, still kicking it.
That's another pod I want to do as well, is about the history of the band's Chariots, because there's a few good stories there, I think.
Yeah, dude, there is.
13 years of touring.
There is.
I think that's it for this one.
Yeah,
dude,
we should wrap it up.
I enjoyed this one.
Yeah,
this is cool. To anyone or everyone listening, throw in questions to Mikey or whatever, or us in general, but Mikey will probably get to them, and we'll try to get back to you guys on this and just you know, talk about what you want to know.
Talk about our fucking
otherwise
goods and bads times.
Goods and bads times, baby. All right, hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll catch you later.
Bye.
See ya.
Later.